This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, great. This meeting is being recorded. So we are on Daf Yud Amud Bet. We're discussing the case. We're about 6 lines down from the wide lines of Daf Yud Amud Bet, dealing with the case of said Rav Huna. Amar Rav Huna Ratzech shegala le'ir miklat u'mutzao goel hadam v'ago patur. Okay, we're now dealing with the din of the goel hadam. We know that the Rotzeach needs to run away to the Ir Miklat. One of the reasons is in order that he can escape from the Goel Adam. It is clear that once the Rotzeach is in the Ir Miklat, there he has protection. There the Goel Adam is not allowed to come and harm him, to kill him. If he were to do so, then he would be Chayav Mita himself. We discussed yesterday how the purpose of the Ir Miklat is not just to give protection, but also to give kapara. But now we're focusing on this aspect. And here Rav Huna tells us that if it happened that the Rotzeach, when he was not in the Ir Miklat, the Goel Adam came and found him and killed him, that the Goel Adam himself would be patur. Again, the Goel Adam is the closest blood relative of the person who was killed, and he would be patur, he would be exempt. We mentioned as well the fact that he's exempt means he's not chayav mitah. It does not mean that he's necessarily meant to do this. Not that it's a good thing. It would still be really should still be forbidden, but there would be no chiyuv. Now, if you have a look just for a moment, if you turn over the page in your Gemara, you see on Daf Yud Aleph Amud Bet. Daf Yud Aleph Amud Bet, there is a Mishnah, quite a lengthy Mishnah, but it tells us something interesting. It says, if you have a look at Aleph Amud Bet, basically the first of the wide lines, halfway through the line, it says, Rotzeach she'atzah chutz latchum u'metza'o goel hadam. If you have a Rotzeach who was already in the Ir Miklat, and he then left that city, right? Yatzah chutz latchum u'metza'o goel hadam, the goel hadam found him. Rabbi Yossi Aglili omer, mitzvah biyad goel hadam, u'reshut biyad kol hadam. Rabbi Akiva Omer should be at Goel Adam, V'chol Adam Chayavin Alav. So there's a machloket between Rabbi Yossi Aglili and Rabbi Akiva regarding the Goel Adam or anybody else, but whether the Goel Adam would have a mitzvah to kill him or whether he would have reshut to kill him. But both would agree that if once this person has gone into the Ir Miklat, and then he has to stay there until the death of the Kohen Gadol. If he leaves prematurely for whatever reason, the Goel Adam is allowed to kill him. Now over here, so that's the Mishnah on Daf Yud Aleph Amud Bet. We'll discuss it in more detail when we get there. But over here we see Rav Huna says, if the Goel Adam was to kill the Rotzeach, again, when he's not in the Ir Miklat, he would be patur. So it must be talking about, the Mfarshim point out, it must be talking about not the same case as the Mishnah over there. The Mishnah over there is talking about once he's gone and he's been exiled and he's begun his time in the Ir Miklat, if he leaves, that is forbidden to do, and there he can get killed by the Goel Adam. However, here, it's talking about the case where he's not there yet, right? He's on his way. So the point is on the journey, and the same as we've discussed, that we have signs up and we have all these precautions in place to make it easier for him to come. Why do we have to make it easier for him to come? Because if the Goel Adam finds him on the way and he kills him, he will be patur, he will be exempt, according to Rav Huna. Okay, how does Rav Huna learn that out? And again, we learn that from the pasuk, and it's a bit of a complicated discussion because two different ways of reading the pasuk. Which pasuk? There are two different pasukim which have very similar language. And there's a big machloket in the Girsaot as to which pasuk the Gemara is really referring to. So let's see. Amar, we're back now on Daf Yud Amud Bet. Amar Rav Huna, Rotzeach shegala le'ir miklat, u'metza'o goel adam v'argo patur, kasavar v'lo en mishpat mavet begoel adam hu dichtiv. Right? Rav Huna says, if the Rotzeach is on his way to the Ir Miklat, and the Goel Adam finds him and he kills him, he's going to be patur. He's going to be exempt from punishment. Why? Because the pasuk says, "V'lo en mishpat mavet." He has no mishpat mavet. Mishpat mavet means a judgment of death. The Beit Din are going to execute him. But it says there is no mishpat mavet. So says Rav Huna, that is referring to the Goel Adam. The Goel Adam, if he goes and kills the Rotzeach, he's not subject to a death penalty. So let's read the entire pasuk again. because we'll see in just a moment that the Gemara is going to challenge this reading. So reading number 1, according to Rav Huna, we say like this: Pen Yirdof Goel Adam Achrei Rotzeach Ki Echam Levavo. Right? The Rotzeach needs to run away to the Miklat. Why? Because if he doesn't, Pen Yirdof Goel Adam Achrei Rotzeach, lest the Goel Adam is going to chase after him. Ki Echam Levavo. Literally, there's it's very emotional here. The heat of his heart is heated up. Vehisigo, and he will reach him. Ki yerbeh derech, because it will be a long journey. So again, we've learned that we have to make the journey as short as possible. Vehikau nefesh, so the Goel Adam will kill him. Velo en mishpat mavet. But there is no mishpat mavet, meaning he won't be liable for death. He lo soneh olam mitmol shilshom. Those last few words of the pasuk is where it's going to get complicated. Ki lo soneh olam mitmol shilshom. Seemingly, but Pashtut, that refers to the Rotzeach, the one who killed, and it's giving us a reason why the Rotzeach himself goes to the Miklat, and he is not liable to the death penalty because he's not a soneh lo mitmol shilshom. He's not an enemy. We saw there's a discussion with the soneh. So already in the pasuk you can see there could be two different ways to read this. Right? Both lo en mishpat mavet and ki lo sonehu lo mitmol shilshom, both of those could be reasons why the person goes to the Miklat. Both of those could be reasons why the person is not liable to the death penalty. Why? Number one, it says explicitly there is no death penalty. Number two, it says because he's not a soneh, meaning this was not intentional, this was not premeditated, this was accidental. So both of those could be referring to the same thing. If we say that both of them are referring to the same case, to the same individual, we then ask the question, well, it's superfluous. The Gemara does not need, the pasuk does not need to teach both. So that is what lends support to the suggestion to say it's not superfluous because they're referring to two different people, right? When it says, the way Rav Huna reads, when it says v'lo ein mishpat mavet, that is referring to the Goel Adam. But how do we know that in fact in the first place the Rotzeach does not does not have a chiyuv mita, and rather he goes into galut? That we know because ki lo soneh olam mitmol shilshom. So according to that reading, it's not superfluous. The difficulty with that is the syntax, the grammar of the verse, that it starts off talking about one person, suddenly it's talking about the other one, and this is why we have a machloket between Rav Huna and the other opinion in the Gemara. So says the Gemara continuing. It said. Rav Huna said, Amar Rav Huna Rotzeach shegalal miklat umtzor goel adam v'arago patur. Right, this Rotzeach is on his way, and the Goel Adam finds him, he kills him, he is patur. Kasava v'lo en mishpat mavet. Since the pasuk says lo en mishpat mavet, that is talking about begoel adam udirtev. So says Rav Huna. Continues the Gemara Meitive. We now challenge this understanding. V'lo en mishpat mavet. Says the Gemara, no. When the Torah says lo en mishpat mavet, this whole pasuk is talking about the Rotzeach. It's talking about the one who killed accidentally, and it's saying he does not have a mishpat mavet, and therefore he has to go to the Miklat. So now it asks the question. It says Ata omer b'Rotzeach o eino ela b'goel adam. Do you mean to say that it's talking about the Rotzeach? Or maybe it's actually referring to the Goel Adam, the way Rav Huna suggested. Answer: Kshehu omer v'hu lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom, havei omer b'Rotzeach hakatuv medaber. No, when it says lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom, that he's not his enemy from 2 or 3 days ago, right? That is giving an explanation about the Rotzeach, and therefore we say havei omer b'Rotzeach hakatuv medaber. Okay, so now here we have a little bit of a problem because there's a tremendous disagreement amongst the Rishonim as to what the girsa really should be over here. If you look at the pasuk which we read already in my Gemara, it's got the first pasuk. It's got a small tet next to it, and it's the pasuk Dvarim Yutet Vav Pen Yodov Goel Adam Achrei Rotzeach, etc. That was the pasuk where it said V'lo en mishpat mavet, which we just referenced, and then it continues. Ki lo sonehu lo mitmol shilshom. So the simplest understanding is when the Gemara now comes and says Rav Huna said lo en mishpat mavet is referring to the Goel Adam. Okay, you can say that in isolation, but read the whole pasuk. You read the whole pasuk. The pasuk continues and it says, "Ki lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom." We know that "Ki lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom" is an explanation about the rotzach. The word "ki" itself. We know the word "ki" has 4 different meanings, but one of those meanings is because. One of those meanings is as an explanation. So the explanation of why he does not have a mishpat mavet is because he is not a soneh lo, because this was all accidental, and that means that all of this entire pasuk is referring to the rotzach and not referring to the goel adam, and that's exactly the challenge which the Gemara brings against Rav Huna. By the way, what would come out of this is, therefore, according to this opinion, if the goel adam goes and kills the rotzach on his way to the Yer Miklat, he would be chayav mitah. That's what comes out of it. So it makes sense. I understand the explanation, the question, based on the hamshech, based on the continuation of the pasuk. And this is the way that Rashi learns. This is the way that a lot of the Rishonim learn. But what's the problem? The problem is, if you look at what the Gemara said, in our version, it says, right? And pay attention to every word here. Our pasuk does not say that. Our pasuk says, "Ki lo sonehu lo mitmol shilshom." Vehu lo sonehu lo mitmol shilshom is a different pasuk. It's a different pasuk which appears 2 pasukim later in the Chumash. It says, "Zeh dvar rotzech asher yano shama v'chai asher yaket ra'eu bivlidat hu vehu lo sonehu lo mitmol shilshom." So if you say, so what's the kasha? If you say that it's referring to the pasuk, it says "V'hu lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom" is a different pasuk. How is the fact that a different pasuk is talking about the rotzach telling me that our pasuk is talking about the goel adam? And because of that kasha, perhaps that's one of the reasons why Rashi here has a different girsa of the Masoret Hashas. If you look at the top left corner of the Gemara, we have the Masoret Hashas, which is in many different places. It's a collation of where we have a parallel sugya. It appears over here in Shas in one place. It appears in a different Masechet as well. Masoret Hashas comes and tells us where all the different sugyot are. And sometimes it adds different girsaot based on different manuscripts, which the Rishonim had, etc. So he says over here, and there's a small letter bet, says Sarich Lomar Ki lo soneh lo. Meaning that the kasha of the discussion is all from the same pasuk, not from the other pasuk. And Rashi learns like this as well. Let's have a look at Rashi. Rashi says, so about halfway down the page, well, a bit before halfway. Rashi where he says, "Begoel adam hakatuv medaber." Right, that was Rav Huna. That was Rav Huna's understanding that it's talking about the goel adam, not the rotzach. He says, "Hachi kama pen yudof goel adam achrei harotzeach v'sigo v'kau nafesh v'lo yiterei mibeit din ki lo ein mishpat mavet." Meaning, how does Rav Huna understand the pasuk? He says, telling us the following: a person has to run away to the Yer Miklat because maybe the goel adam will run after him and he'll reach him, v'kau nefesh, and he'll kill him. And why will he kill him? Because because he's not worried about Beit Din, ki lo ein mishpat mavet, because he is not subject to the death penalty, because he's exempt. And in other words, that lo ein mishpat mavet refers to the goel adam. Right, the sofa mikra. But what about the end of the pasuk? Sofa mikra omer ki lo sonehu, etc. Right? Ki lo sonehu lo mitmol shilshom. Says Rashi, that musavar rosho. That's going back to the beginning. That's going back to the beginning, which says pen yudof goel adam, meaning it's referring to the one who has to run away, the one who has to run away from the goel adam. So it splits. Meaning the first part of the pasuk where it says lo mishpat and lo en mishpat maved is talking about the goel adam. Then when it says ki lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom is talking about the rotzach. Al ben yudof goel adam ani omer lecha lachin lo aderech. Therefore, prepare the way for him. Ki lo soneh haya lo v'lo halago midat, because he didn't kill him on purpose. That was how Rav Huna read the pasuk. But then we now challenged it, and we said, actually, who's to say that when it says "V'lo ein mishpat mavet" is talking about the goel adam? Maybe "V'lo ein mishpat mavet" is talking about the rotzach himself, and therefore the goel adam would have a mishpat mavet. So he says, "B'rotzach hakatuv medaber," says Rashi. Again, Rashi about halfway down the page. "B'rotzach hakatuv medaber v'hachi kama," and this is what it means to say, "Pen yudof ve'isigo Vehikau v'hu lo haya ra'oi lamut ki lo soneh haya la'arog v'lo harago midat. Right? Maybe he's going to go and he's going to and he's going to chase after him and he's going to kill him. But he's saying he lo haya ra'oi lamut. He shouldn't have died. Who shouldn't have died? The Rotzeach. Why? Because he was not a sonem. It's Moshe Shom. He didn't intend to kill him. So therefore, that's how Rashi understands that the proof is from the. You see very clearly, his proof is from the continuation of the same pasuk, right? And that's why, even though in our Girsa it says v'hu lo soneh mit Moshe Shom, Rashi understands. No, the proof is from the continuation of the very pasuk which we have now. The Ritva says maybe you can say maybe there is a way to understand that sorry, I don't remember if it's the Ritva or the Aruch LaNer in fact says it, but he says that the Gemara could be referring to this v'hu lo soneh lo mit Moshe Shom, the other pasuk. And the way we would read it, as we explained briefly yesterday, since we have an earlier pasuk that uses this language of hu lo soneh lo mit Moshe Shom, and that is referring to the Rotzeach, because in that pasuk there's nobody else. In that pasuk, it doesn't talk about the Goel Adam at all. Therefore, in our pasuk, when it says ki lo soneh lo mit Moshe Shom, we already know that that's referring to the Rotzeach. We already know that's referring to Rotzeach. And then we'd have to say that it makes more sense. The challenge here of the Gemara would be that it makes more sense that the pasuk is only talking about one person. But we've already said Rav Huna says the pasuk is talking about two people. But that is a different way to understand our Girsa. But that's what we have. We have this discussion in the Rishonim. Although our Girsa says hu lo soneh lo mit Moshe Shom, many understand it's probably actually referring to the same pasuk of ki lo soneh lo mit Moshe Shom. In any event, we've seen that we have now a machloket, we have a disagreement, that when the pasuk says, lo en mishpat mavet, is it referring to the Goel Adam, as Rav Huna says, or is it referring to the Rotzeach, as the other opinion says? So now the Gemara says the following. It says this opinion that says that it's talking about the Rotzeach, it says, ki hai tana, in the middle of the line. In the Gemara, again, about 10 lines down from the wide lines. Ki hai tana, titanya, v'lo en mishpat mavet, begoel adam hakatuv medaber. Sorry, this is the other opinion. This is supporting Rav Huna, saying where did Rav Huna, because we just brought a baraita to say that the pasuk was talking about something different. So where did Rav Huna, how could Rav Huna give the interpretation that pasuk really refers to goel adam? It says like this baraita: Titania v'lo en mishpat mavet, begoel adam hakatuv medaber. Now we ask the question: Ata omer begoel adam hakatuv medaber eino ela b'rotzeach. Right? Is the pasuk really talking about the Goel Adam, or is it talking about the Rotzeach? She'omer ki lo sonehu lo mitmo shilshom harei Rotzeach amur. When it says already, now going back to the first long pasuk, when it says ki lo sonehu lo mitmo shilshom, that is referring to the Rotzeach. Everybody agrees that's talking about the one who killed accidentally. That's proof why he killed accidentally. But it says the Braita, so it already says there, it already gives me an explanation in the pasuk of why he doesn't get chayav mita, why he has to go into galut, why it was accidental. So therefore, amani makayem v'lo en mishpat mavet. So it's superfluous. This is what we said at the beginning. There are two parts of the pasuk, the way this Tana learns, that seem to be superfluous, one with another. If it says lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom, he's not his enemy, it was all accidental, then it's obvious that he would not go into that he would not be chayav mita. So why does it have to say explicitly he's not chayav mita? Must be talking about somebody else who's not chayav mita, and that is the Goel Adam. Right? Ki lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom harei rotzeach amur hamani makayem v'lo en mishpat mavet. What do I do with this lo en mishpat mavet? Begoel Adam hakatuv medaber. That must be talking about the Goel Adam. Right, says Rashi over here, he explains, Harei Rotzeach Amur, She'ein lo mishpat mavet. But the fact that it says, Lo soneh lo mitmol shilshom, that teaches me that the Rotzeach does not get the death penalty. And therefore, lo yatzrich lichtov b'shvilo, v'lo en mishpat mavet. It did not need to say it for him, but we see it's not saying it for him, it's saying it about the Goel Adam. Okay, so those are the two ways. That's the Machloket Tanaim in terms of how we learn the pasuk, whether the Goel Adam here is Chayav Mita or not. Now the Gemara is going to try to bring another proof. This time not from a pasuk, but from our Mishnah. And it says the following. Tanan, we saw in our Mishnah, Mosrin lo shnei tamidei chachamim shema yagenu baderech v'dabru elav. Okay, we saw when the Yotzach, is on his way to the Ir Miklat, he doesn't go by himself. We send two Talmidei Chachamim to accompany him, and they will talk to him. Talk to who? They will talk to the Goel Adam. They will try and appease him. So what did they say to him? Says the Gemara, surely the whole point is, how were they going to prevent him from killing him? Surely what it means to say, my love de matrube, the ikatil balkatlau. Surely the whole point was, and again, there's discussion here why you need two Talmidei Chachamim. Well, why do they have to be Talmidei Chachamim? Why wouldn't it be enough to send one person? Why do they have to send two people? But surely you send two people. Why? To matrubate, in order to warn him, to give him a try. Surely the point is, and what's going to deter him is this guy's about to kill, and they say, wait, stop. Remember what Hatra'ah is when a person's about to kill somebody and you get a warning and two witnesses are there and they say, if you kill him, you're going to lose your life. Most people do not want to lose their life and therefore they'll stop. They won't do this action. Surely that's exactly how they're going to save this Rotzach on his way to the Yom Miklat. You've got the two Talmidei Chachamim. Why two Talmidei Chachamim? Because they know the halachot. They know that the Goel Adam is going, and the Goel Adam is going to know that the Talmidei Chachamim, they know what they're talking about. They're saying, look, this is a hatra'ah, you're about to commit murder. And if you do this, you'll be killed. And that's how they'll stop him. So that would seem to be a refutation of Rav Huna. Rav Huna said he's patur. This would seem to indicate that he's chayav, because the Talmidei Chachamim will warn him, and that will serve as hatra'ah before he kills, and therefore he won't. So says the Gemara, right, Tanan, Mosrin no shnei Talmidei Chachamim, shema yargenu baderech, Vidabru elav, my love. What is it that they're going to say to him? The matrube, that they'll warn him, or give him a try. The iktil bakatlau, that if he kills, he will be subject to death penalty. Answers the Gemara, no. Kedetanya, as it says, Vidabru elav dvarim hareuyim lo, umrim lo al tinag bo minhag shofchei damim bishkaga b'maaseh liado. Right? No, they do not, and this is not the way we learned when we learned the Mishnah. They're not there in order to give him formal hatra'ah before the murder that he's about to commit. They're there in order to appease him. They're there in order to tell him, calm him down. Hey, what are you doing? Don't, not that you're going to get the death penalty, but this person, he's called a Rotzach, but it was by accident. It was Peshogeg. He's on his way to an Ir Miklat. He didn't intend to kill the person. He didn't intend to kill your relative. Don't kill him. That's what they're doing. And therefore there is no refutation from that to what Rav Huna said. Right? You don't need to spill blood. He did it by accident. Okay, in a moment the Gemara is going to ask, what's the Chiddush? What's the Chiddush of saying b'shkaga b'maaseh liado? Don't we say that everybody who's going to an Ir Miklat is a case of shkaga, right? Why do we need? What's changed now that these Talmidei Chachamim tell the Goel Adam what he didn't know before? But continues the Gemara, Rabbi Meir Omer, hu medaber al de'atzmo, shneimar v'zeh dvar harotzeach, amru lo harbe shlichut asa. So Rabbi Meir said that not just that the Talmidei Chachamim spoke to him, but that the person himself says that, right? We learned that from the pasuk. It says zeh dvar harotzeach. So amrulo, so they answered back. They said to Rabbi Meir, harbe shlichut asa, meaning sometimes it's better for somebody else to say it and not for the person himself. Says Rashi, harbe shlichut asa, dvarim she'enan na'asim al yedei adam na'asim u'mitkablim al yedei harbe shluchim. Sometimes when a person, it won't be accepted what the person himself does, but it works better by somebody else. We can imagine the scenario. This person saying, well, what do you want? What do you want from me? It was an accident. I said, I don't believe you. I don't, it's not going to calm him down, but somebody else comes, that will be more effective. Okay, so continues the Gemara now. It says, Amar ma b'shkaga ba'maaseh liado. Right? In other words, what do these two Talmidei Chachamim, what do they say to the Goel Adam in order to put him off from trying to kill the person? They say b'shkaga b'maseh liado, that it was shogeg, that it was an accident. Asks the Gemara Pshita, that's obvious. Iba mezid bar galutu, right? If it was b'mezid, would he go into galut? Meaning what? What's the havamina, right? This Goel Adam is chasing the person who's going into the Ir Miklat. We know that a person who's going into the Ir Miklat is the person who's going into the Ir Miklat, so somebody who killed b'shogeg. If he killed b'mezid, he doesn't get to go into galut. So right, you're trying to convince somebody of something. You're trying to calm him down. You're trying to have an argument. So you need to make a claim. You need to tell him something which he didn't know before that's going to change his mind. If the guy's coming along and he's saying, I want to kill this person because he killed my relative, and they say to him, whoa, wait, you killed him b'shkaga. So, well, I know that he killed him b'shkaga, and that's why I'm chasing him to get revenge, right? What have you told him? So says the Gemara, no. That it may be sometimes that there is somebody he may have thought, point is he may have thought that the person actually killed intentionally, because we do have cases where you'll find a Ratzach b'mezid is running to the Ir Miklat. And then these two Talmidei Chachamim say to him, actually, this was not b'mezid, this was b'shogeg. It wasn't b'mezid, it was b'shogeg. Okay, then I won't kill him. So what is the case?
Well, what is an example where somebody who kills b'mezid goes to the Ir Miklat?
If somebody kills b'mezid goes to the Ir Miklat, he's not allowed to do that. If it's been in Beit Din, and Beit Din says, so we have two scenarios, right? We saw in the Mishnah already, there's 3 or 4 different possibilities. If the case was that there were witnesses and there was hatra'ah, and he's chayav mitam Beit Din, so then Beit Din are going to execute him. If he somehow manages to escape and he's running away to the Ir Miklat, so before he gets there, once he gets there, the Goel Adam finds him, he's allowed to kill him. If the case was that it was karov lemezid, right, or that it was b'mezid, whereby we don't have witnesses, Beit Din Beit Din cannot execute him, but he can't go into galut either. So also in such a case, the Goel Adam can go and kill him. If the only case is where it actually was b'shogeg, and Beit Din said it was shogeg, and he has to go into the Ir Miklat there, we try and prevent the Goel Adam, and that's exactly the machloka we've just seen. Would the Goel Adam he's not allowed to kill him? Would he be liable or not? That is the machloka between Rav Huna and the other opinion in the Gemara. But over here we say like this: when they tell him that he's b'shogeg, why do they have to tell him it's b'shogeg? Rabbi said the pshita, right? We're about halfway, a bit past halfway of the wide lines. The Gemara says pshita, the iba mezid bar galutu, right? If he was a mezid, would he go into galut? Answer yes, in. And I'll tell you the following case. The following scenario is where somebody who killed b'mezid is going to be running towards the Ir Miklat. Ve'atanya. Right, we have taught in a Braita, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yudah Omer, Betchila echad shogeg ve'echad mezid maktimin la'arei miklat. Ubedin shochin umavin otam misham. Right, says Rabbi Yossi Bar Yudah at the beginning, Betchila, meaning once the murder has taken place, before it's come to Beit Din, echad shogeg ve'echad mezid maktimin la'arei miklat. Whether it was shogeg or mezid, he goes to the Ir Miklat first, and from there, Beit Din shochin umavin otam misham. The Beit Din come along then and send for him, and they bring him out. So just a question over here. We've seen this already. We saw this in our Mishnah. If you go back, if you look on, where was our Mishnah? It was on Daf Tet, I think it was, right? And Daf Tet Amud Bet. Our Mishnah said, right, בתחילה, אחד שוגג, רבי יוסי בר יהודה אומר, בתחילה, אחד שוגג ואחד מזיד, מקטימין לערי מקלט. At the beginning, whether it's a person who's shogeg or mezid, they go to the Ir Miklat first. And here too, it says we have a Braita. What's interesting is that here the Gemara brings it from a Braita, which says the same thing, but it brings it from a Braita and not from the words of our Mishnah. So Tosfot, if you have a look, there's only 2 Tosfots on this page. but Tosfot at the top, in the top right corner, he says, V'atanya, Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda b'chulei, v'im tomar, amai lo maitim mimiltei Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda d'matnitin. Says you'll ask the question, why does the Gemara bring the words of Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda in a Baraita and not from a Mishnah, which is a more authoritative source? Again, it says the same thing. It's trying to prove the same point, which is that the Rotzach b'Mezid first goes to the Ir Miklat. Answers Tosfot, the Yesh Lomar, the Matnitin Ikala Meima, the Lo Chayavim Kama, Ela Me'alehem Ayu Golim. Meaning, you could learn from that, from the way we're going to see in a moment the Psukim and how it proves it. But from the way that the Mishnah writes it, you might have said that it's not that one is required to go to the Ir Miklat, just that this is what they did, that all the Rotzchim would run away to the Ir Miklat first. But what you see in the Baraita is that that they would have to. So somebody kills, they are required to go to the Ir Miklat first. From the Ir Miklat, then the Beit Din would come and bring them, and the Mishpat would take place however it transpires. But continues the Gemara now. So says the Braita, Vatanya Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda Omer, Vatchila echad shogeg v'echad mezid maktim min narei miklat u'beit din shochen v'vinotam misham. Initially, after the murder has taken place, whether it was shogeg and whether it was mezid, the person goes to the Ir Miklat, and Beit Din then goes and brings them out from there. Mi shenitchayev mita arguhu, anybody who's chayev mita would be killed. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'shalchu ziknei iro v'lachu oto misham v'natnu oto biad goel adam v'met. Right, they would send out the ziknei iro. The rest of the Amud is going to discuss the concept of the zkenim in the city, but the zkenim would send for him. V'lachu oto misham, and they would take him out of there. V'natnu oto biad goel adam, and they would place him in the hands of the goel adam, and he would die. Interesting discussion on what exactly is this pasuk referring to, and it says the point is he's chayav mita. He has to leave the Ir Miklat, and he has to go back and have his death penalty executed. Why does it say that they place him not in the hands of the Beit Din, but in the hands of the Goel Adam to kill him? So the Ritva explains that the case here it's talking about is not the classic case of Mezid, but it's talking about the case of what this pasuk is referring to is maybe a case where we said where Beit Din can't execute him. There weren't enough witnesses, and therefore it was not Mezid as it was Mezid, but they didn't have witnesses. They can't execute the punishment. In such a case, he could be given over to the Goel Adam, who's allowed to kill him, or according to one opinion, might even have a mitzvah to kill him. Or it could be a case what we discussed at the beginning of the perek, what the Rambam writes about Karov LaMezid, where it was not quite Mezid, but it was close to that, and therefore we've seen that in such a scenario, said the Rambam, that a person needs to, he's not allowed to go into the Ir Miklat. He has to spend the rest of his life running away from the Goel Adam. The Goel Adam is allowed to kill him. So maybe that's what it's referring to. Others understand differently, but the point is that this pasuk teaches us that they have to go and take him out of the Ir Miklat, and he has to go to have his face his punishment. Okay, that is regarding somebody who's nitchayev mita. Continues the Gemara. Continues the Braita. Mishelon nitchayev patruhu shnema vatzilu eidat harotzeach miyad goel adam. Right, somebody who's not chayav, neither in mitat Beit Din or in galut, so he would be exempt. And this is the pasuk says vatzilu eidat harotzeach, through the judgment he's going to be saved from the goel adam. Mishen nitchayev galut. Finally, Mishan Itchev Galut, Machzirin oto lemkomo, you send him back to that city. So even though he was initially in the Ir Miklat, you take him out of the Ir Miklat to come to Beit Din to have his judgment. And if it's established that it was B'Shogeg in such a way that he's Chayav Galut, so then you send him back. Shneamar, Veshivu oto aida al Ir Miklato shenas shama. The pasuk says you would send him back to the city of refuge where he had run away to. So that is answer number one. Again, our question was, why do the Talmidei Chachamim need to tell the Goel Adam that this was Bishkaga? Answer, because initially when he's running there, according to this, he's required, even in Rosef B'Mezid, is required to go to the Ir Miklat. and we don't want the Goel Adam to kill him before justice can be served, before we know if it's amazing, if it's shogeg, etc. That was answer number one. Answer number two, which is a similar answer but a slightly different nuance, says Rabbi Omer me'atzmanen golin kasvorin en echad shogeg v'echad mezid kotot v'hen einan yodin shebeshogeg kotot mezid einan kotot. So the first answer was that there is actually a legal requirement for everybody to go, and they know that they may not stay in the Miklat. The second answer is they didn't know, they made a mistake. They thought that people thought that the Miklat was there to provide protection for Rotzchim, whether it's Shogeg or whether it's Mezid. So therefore says Rabbi Matzman and Golin, they would go there. Kasfulin, because they thought they thought that the Miklat provides protection for whether it's Shogeg or Mezid, but they didn't know Shogeg Kotot, Mezid and Kotot. They didn't know that it's only for Rotzech B'Shogeg that he gets protection, not Rotzech B'Mezid. So therefore, person's running away. The Goel Adam thinks, well, if he's running away, maybe he's a Rotzech B'Mezid, and I need to get him before he gets there. Says the Talmidei Chachamim, no, he's not a Rotzech B'Mezid. He's a Rotzech B'Shgaga. That's what happens, and hopefully they will calm him down. So that is the end of that. Continues the Gemara now, goes into a slightly different discussion, and there are a few different halachot. We'll begin now and we'll finish tomorrow, talking about the Ziknei Ha'ir. We saw that.
Rabbi Kenigsberg.
Yeah.
I don't understand. You've got people who are potentially committed a crime. We don't know if they've committed a crime. And we're saying they run away to the Miklat, but and suddenly there's a girl, Adam. How come there's a girl Adam? Nobody's been convicted of anything. A girl Adam has got a position after somebody's been convicted, not before. And there doesn't seem to be a concept here that these people, when they flee to the Miklat, they're accompanied by Chachamim. They're accompanied by Chachamim once they've been convicted of being B'Shogeg or B'Mezid. And if it's B'Shogeg, you've got the Chachamim. But there seems to be a whole hefker going on. A girl Adam, by definition, only exists once the decision has been made as to whether he's a Shogeg or a Mezid.
No, it seems to be that certainly where the Talmidei Chachamim are accompanying this person, we're dealing primarily with the case after the Mishpat has already taken place.
Yes, meaning before.
No. The Beit Din says
of their own free will. They're going to the Miklat before they've had any judgment. A murder's been committed. We don't know if these people are B'Mezid or B'Shogeg.
No, it's correct.
And the Goel Adam isn't a Goel Adam at that point in time.
Right. So first of all, so the Goel Adam exists. Meaning, if, let's say, for example, the fact is, right, the Goel Adam applies even for the case of Shogeg. Okay. So there are many scenarios whereby we would know, and everybody could know that this murder had taken place, but the person may not be Chayav Mitan Beit Din because you don't have kosher witnesses, or you don't have, you haven't met the criteria, as we've seen how difficult those are to meet. But nonetheless, it's known and it's clear they saw him. If there's relatives, maybe the Goel Adam saw the murder taking place himself, so he knows that it's happened, but he can't necessarily come to Beit Din. Now, it's true that over here we mentioned the Gemara says that that initially they would go to the Miklat even before the Mishpat has taken place. Okay, and it could be that the Gemara over here is giving us that distinction to tell us why the Goel Adam, even after the Mishpat had taken place, may still think that the person was B'Mezid. But what seems to be, when the Mishnah tells us that he's accompanied by these representatives of the Beit Din, that's primarily talking about the case after the Beit Din has already taken place. So it's already been adjudicated, whether it's Shogeg, whether it's Mezid, exactly what it is. And now, but let's say the Beit Din sat in Lishkat HaGazit, or they sat in Yerushalayim, and now the person is going to Shechem or wherever he's going to the Miklat. On that journey, right, if the Goel Adam comes along and sees him, he's going to be, according to Ravona at least, he's going to be patur if he kills him. So it's there that we've got the Talmidei Chachamim accompanying him, and it's there that they're saying, look, we know what happened. We know you're emotional. We know you want to get vengeance for your relative who died. It's tragic, and you're very upset. But you have to understand, this happened. This was a b'shogeg. This was an accident, right? Let's not continue with this minhag of shofchei damim, but let's try and calm everything down. So that's what it's talking about. The Chazon Ish writes explicitly. He says that where we require the Beit Din to send these Talmidei Chachamim with this person, that is after it's already been tried in Beit Din, and it's already been adjudicated that he has to go to the Miklat. And based on that, the Gemara asks, but why, if he's going to the Yom Miklat after the Mishpat, clearly that's only a case of Shogeg. Clearly, right? So it says no, because initially he could have gone, even if it was Mazid, or maybe because people misunderstood it. People didn't know. People may have thought that the Beit Din sends people to Galut, even if it was B'mazid. That's why they have to tell him. That's why they have to tell the Goel Adam. This is actually a case of Shogeg.
Thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure. We'll end it there. Yeshar koach, thank you to everybody, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Refuah Shleima.
Refuah Shleima.
Yeah, all the best.
Feel better.
You have 1 minute, I guess.